a lot of those people, they are really interested in those masters and the postgraduate programs because of the ability to get open work visas again. And I'm very pleased to let you know that the university does offer PG diplomas level 8 and the master's program, both about a year in primary and secondary. Claire, can you please tell us, so when a student is looking at these courses, how do you actually decide whether the student goes for the master's or the PG? What is the difference? Because they both lead to registration, isn't it?
Yeah, they do. They both lead to registration. So effectively, you need to have a B average, a grade point average in the degree that's coming in. So in the application, that will be the first kind of tier. And then in terms of deciding whether or not a student wants to do a postgraduate or a master's thesis, it really is about, I guess, wanting to do that research component, that additional kind of deep dive into a particular issue. At the moment, we're anticipating, because the postgrad and the grad, they run in parallel with the other programs, and the postgrad and masters, it's effectively that thesis is the extra part that makes it into the masters. So you could have a student that comes in a postgrad and then, you know, starts into that and then decides, oh, actually, I really do want to upgrade that to a master's. It would need to be a decision that's made midway through the year, because some of that prep starts to happen in the beginning of semester in trimester B. Or similarly, they may have decided, I want to do the master's, and then they get started and stuck into things and they go, oh, actually, no, I want to get, you know, that's too much for me. So there's quite a bit of flexibility with those two things.
Thank you.
I mean, ideally, people, you know, opt to do one and then they stay in that stream, but we will be able to have some flexibility.
Thank you. And just on that point, from an immigration's perspective, guys, if that's you and you are thinking, well, I want to go in for the PG and move on to the master's, or I'm in the master's and I want to move into the PG, there are immigration pathways that we can do while you're still in the course to transition you to get onto that master's and change your visa, or do a variation to bring you down. So that can be done. So you chat to us separately. I don't want to make this an immigration session. I think that's really good. You've talked about the master's having the thesis component, which essentially makes it different to the PG. From, you know, a lot of these people, obviously, that are looking at studying again, they are a lot more aware about the industry and placements and what happens to them after they finish the qualification. Claire, from your perspective, is there any difference or an added advantage in actually going for the master's versus the PG or the grad dips? How's the output any different for these three courses?
So I think it's going to, I mean, that's probably yet to be seen because the postgrad is so new. So we don't really know yet how schools will respond to the students coming out with the postgrad qualification and the master's qualification. And we've had masters in teaching and learning students previously, and certainly they've gone on to do really well. I've been working with one of them recently on some other research in an academic context, and I know that they just have a kind of a deeper, more critical level of thinking going into their schools. So, you know, schools are quite keen to have teachers who've had that kind of level of academic thought. Pay scale wise, there's a pay differential in the New Zealand pay scale, so that's another thing to have a look at if that's something you want to, you know, obviously is a concern to think around. And I think, you know, in terms of how the program will work, the postgraduate really is just asking you to go to that slightly more critical, reflective space, and it's going a lot earlier than perhaps you would necessarily in the graduate program. So placement-wise and going out into schools, you know, schools are very happy to have our graduate students anyway. I can only imagine that with that extra layer of thinking and kind of criticality, that would enhance what's already going on.
Thank you.